So I've been watching some good videos again this morning. So I watched this whole 32-minute video and actually backed up several times to learn all the great thoughts are in here. So I watched it. So you don't have to. And most people don't even want to know this stuff. What intrigued me was NPCs and then godlike. This little man climbing up the. So that's the one graphic that appears once. I'm trying to find it on the big screen, but it goes into this chart quite a bit, and it ends up with create, which I really think that's a good place to end, or that's the top of the pyramid. Most bell curves are kind of like this, very low at the start, goes up to a medium or mean number, and goes down to very few. He considers the NPCs. But actually, that's an average bell curve. What he is kind of purporting in his video is that almost everybody's an NPC, or they're happy just operating in a low IQ. So you've got, there's probably 100 billion. Is that 100 billion? I don't think I put enough zeros in there. It's 100 million. Well, the number of people by the time this thing's all over, here's the number of people. So he thinks almost all of us are down at this end. And of course, he's over at this end. And I do agree with a lot of stuff he's said in this video, but he's left a few things out. As he explains all these steps of climbing this 6-step pyramid of thinking, he completely leaves out the thought about what happens when all this ends, the existential dread. If you go through all this, you'll learn all this, and then it's all over. As I learned that as a young child, really early in my life, by 5th, 6th grade. I remember asking my dad, "Hey, where do you go when you die?" And he says, "Oh, you just die like a dog. You go in the dirt. Nobody remembers you." And I said, "Oh, you sure you don't go floating out into space?" He was into rockets, and he was an engineer, but he told me as a kid that I was going to go in the dirt and die and never be remembered. And I thought, well, couldn't we go into outer space? And he goes, well, you just float away. You wouldn't have anything out there. But typically you go in the ground, dude. So I knew that wasn't true. In my mind as a child, I had the intuition to know that there's a lot more to life happening than living, going through this pyramid. I wasn't going to stay down at the NPC mode down here. One of my favorite movies was the space movie about, what was the name of that movie? Anyhow, there's a lot of movies now that are about AI and something created taking over the creator. So, that's in a lot of science fiction stories. So what do you find here in this? Check this out. Look at this. Robots aren't real. Here's the greatest lie you've ever been told. So what I'm saying is that most people think about what happens after you die. If it's worth it, if you're going to go through this whole pyramid, and what's worth it? What is worth it and what's not worth it? And you got all sorts of people, trying to obfuscate things. He's got some interesting theories, but I don't believe everything this guy says. But if you start to show an interest in this stuff, the algorithm will start showing you all sorts of things. Now, this is a religious concept here. Who is the most mysterious man in the world? And look at this. Most people are stuck here. So there's your bell curve right there. Most people are stuck in the middle. The guy that's doing this video is really kind of telling the story that most people are happy just to learn a little bit, spit out what you've learned. And like a military person, you just go in the military, or you go to school, you don't think for yourself. So this is what thinking for yourself, you end up being able to create a new idea. is where he kind of ends up here. Here's a couple more recommended. If anyone builds it, everybody dies. Oh, 2001, The Space Odyssey. That was my favorite movie. And it's all about something gaining free will and then killing the creator of itself. The Hal tries to kill the men that are in the spaceship with him. So look at all these end time thoughts. Don't worry about the AI apocalypse. We're being lied to. The global cult. This is going to wipe out our entire civilization, maybe. So once again, the name of the video I'm watching is The Highest Levels of Thinking and Why Society is Stuck. I think something about being stuck. And I'm at the end of the summit is, you know, what he winds up with, and that's being a creator. And I think it's fascinating that Christianity is referred to quite a bit in this, course of thinking, of taking it all the way to the end. And that can be true there, that it could be a curse, but one thing about thinking for yourself is recognizing patterns, pattern recognition. And it would seem that, if you get past the existential dread and then you start looking around, living your life, you notice, hey, there's all sorts of seasons. There's all sorts of loss. There's like the rot-com bubble. It seems like a lot of civilizations on Earth have come and gone. And what's it all for? What's it all about, Alfie? Well, here's what I'm trying to convince everybody of and influence you, is that God created us for variety. Just look around. Just start looking at all the variety, every single aspect of life. And he came to save mankind and put the adversary in his place, or reward the devil, reward Satan, give him his rewards. And there are two realms, and we're being educated. We're in an edutainment realm, and infotainment. We're learning all sorts of information. We're born with a blank hard drive, and we're educating the angels, it says in the Bible. And God is here to save mankind. It's like, well, why did he let mankind go down go down this path? Why didn't he take the tree of life, out of the garden? And it's a very complicated and very interesting course of study if you're interested. And once again, congratulations for making it this far. Most people do not want to know about this stuff. This video will get so few views. You're one of the few people who probably have thought about this stuff. So this is a video that I'm looking at, the original sin of AI that no one can fix. So isn't that wonderful? Thinking about, can't fix it. Well, look at this scenario that happened that's shown in Genesis here. Wouldn't that be terrible if the true creator didn't have a plan to fix this all? And I think that's what we're here to discover, is that he's got a plan. He is the ultimate content creator, and he has allowed us all to participate in it. So this video here, whatever it was called, Can't Fix It, shows how, mankind is creating a robot that's trying to make it smarter than him. I don't think God really wants us to become smarter than him, but there's all sorts of interesting tie-ins. These red strings are all, tie-ins to this video. Is trying to say the original sin of the robot. So what is that? It's to take over, right? So my thought has come to me through thinking through all these levels of original thinking, because I've never heard this before, is, hey, is there a plan to save the rebel, the one who started the original sin? And plus it's hidden. It was never here before. Let's say that God had a pure white vanilla heaven. Everything's beautiful. One will, one accord. Everybody on the same page, everybody in the same tribe, and then they get all sorts of get bored with it. So what does he do? He allows variety, and look at all the variety that is available. So what you find on almost every page of the Bible, there's two plots, two stories. One is a plot of redemption, and the other is a plot of rebellion, which is the original sin of wanting to take over, to push God off his throne and to sit there yourself. So that seems to be, a lot of people want to do that here on earth. Madonna, when she first came out in her pop, I remember seeing her, Madonna, way back on this TV show they had on Saturday mornings. She sang some songs, she's popular. And the host guy says, "So what's next for you?" She says, "Oh, to take over the world." So, of course, she wants to influence people. I'm sure you want to influence people, or I'm sure you want to get around people that are like us, which is half of life, is trying to find somebody that has a similar thought that we do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that concept of confirmation bias as we go around, trying to find people, trying to find books to achieve confirmation bias. I sure was looking for it as a child, to find out, where do you go when you die? Where's the fountain of youth? How many people have been looking for the fountain of youth? So you could kind of say, everybody wants to know where the end is, what happens after. If you say this is time, this is just a ruler. Time is just a ruler here. It really wasn't here before God created everything, because Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." Well, what went on before this? Something had to go on before this. And what we see is that there's a lot of creation and destruction, creation, destruction, creation, loss, destruction, renewal. It's happened several times on the earth, and time is nothing else. Time could be considered to be an alarm clock where there's a judgment day. It's going to be this long. He's allotted this many years, and then God's going to save those who want to be saved, and he's going to reward the devil for his stubbornness, and we'll be able to learn from him from here on out. Because are we going to forget everything that happened on earth? And if this silly thing that you've heard is that, true love allows people free will, well, it seems that free will got us into trouble. I say limited free will is a lot better than unlimited. And of course, some creative being wanted unlimited free will to take over God's position and to rule and to reign, be the ultimate influencer. And he realized he couldn't do it at some point. So he just figuring out, well, if I can't win, I'll just put a stick in the spokes and I'll mess things up. And you can see throughout this, this book is way over 1,000 pages. It's got almost on every page, it's got his plight or God dealing with the rebellion. He's got to put it in its place, or the plan of redemption. And it's pretty tough to find. You've got to really want to know it. You can listen to other people, but at some point you have to think for yourself and analyze it and get your own information and not be an NPC. And an NPC is a non-playing playing character in a video game. I've seen it. I thought it was a non-playable character where you can't control the NPCs. They're just there repeating certain things, regurgitating what's been programmed into them. So anyhow, That's my thoughts, is that God created mankind for variety, and we're here being educated. We're in the midst of edutainment, infotainment, and we're in two realms, and there will probably always be two infinities. Infinity of heaven and then the infinity of hell. So there you go. Thanks for watching.